All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Mike from the Mic Drop. Hi, it's been a little bit. I think it's been maybe about 3 weeks since I actually dropped a video, which is completely intentional, by the way. A couple of things have been going on behind the scenes. One, as I told you in the last live video, my therapist and I have been talking, and he said, have you taken some time for yourself? Basically since April when you went out there to speak at the school board meeting the first time through graduation up, and through halfway through the summer. Like, have you taken any time off for yourself or have you been advocacy 100%? And this is the reason why I have a therapist and why I recommend a therapist for many, many people, because they give you an outside perspective when you are amidst your passions to help you to do self-care. Which I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever seen me at a basketball game at Northridge, you would say that my passion is usually on full display. Passion has never been a problem. For me, it's been people's perceptions of it being something that it's not. And that always kind of confused me. But with regards to this, he was right. And I just needed to take a little bit of time kind of just for myself to kind of to chill and process and kind of refresh before we go into the next school year, which is why the reason I'm doing this mic drop video now. The first school board meeting of Middlebury Entitlement Schools for this coming school year is tomorrow at 4 p.m. at their little fortress of solitude that they don't really make inviting to anyone else that would like to offer dissenting opinions. And I made a promise that when they have a school board meeting, after having gone to the school board meeting in April and the reception that I got and what happened to me, and then the other people that have gone to speak up and the reception that they have gotten, and then finally watching videos of the school board members treating each other like crap for having original ideas or having questions that would challenge someone's power. I'll be completely honest with you. Middlebury Entitlement Schools school board became nothing to me in my heart, mind, and soul. Like, they didn't even matter. It was such a place of apathy. Like, I no longer give a crap about what they say, what they do. When it comes to regards to me, obviously, when it comes to the school and how they're running that or failing to run that, that's completely different. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, some people are so scared and intimidated to go in there for Middlebury Community School Board. I'm going to tell you right now, they're not any more grown than you guys are. And they're just as susceptible to, petty indifferences and power mongering as they do with the staff members in their buildings, with the administrators that they serve, and a lot of the time with the kids they ignore. So, some people have been asking me, like, are you going to show up for every school board member or school board meeting and do that? Like, are you gonna show up again with a megaphone? Like, yeah, I can. I'll show up whenever anybody needs me to for advocacy's sake. I have accomplished my goal for now. My goal was to get my story out there and my truth, and then also help others to be able to share their truth a little less anxious. And my goal has been achieved. I managed to pull that off in 3 months thanks to all of you guys being willing to share your stories. So as it's evolving going forward, I'm only one man. I've always only been one person in all of this. I haven't been the leader of a movement. I haven't been it's just been my truth and my ability to help others speak their truth. That's all this has ever been. What I would want to see happen as a result of all this would be, June 20th was the last school board meeting. Now it's going to be July 18th, which is tomorrow. What they are hoping is that your summer has been so enjoyable and so relaxing, and you haven't had to hear a thing from anything from the school for weeks. They're going to hope that you forget everything that has been going on at the end of the last school year. They're going to want you to forget about John Homan. They're going to want you to forget about Mike Mullahan and his trespassing. They're going to, all the questions that the people go to the school board meetings to ask to get answers, they still haven't answered because they don't take the time to do so, and they hope between the 2 weeks of you saying something and not saying something, you'll just forget. Well, thankfully, there are some champions out there like myself and like Pam Kaiser that show up regularly to remind them of how much they're still failing at their job and not answering the questions that their community is asking. To that end, I've decided to do this. Anytime there's a school board meeting, I'm going to do everything in my power to get on here on Monday nights. Probably, I can shoot for the. See, the thing for me is like 3:45 on Mondays is when school would let out. So I would do a mic drop video around 2:45 my time Central. Going into the next school year, I'll be working, an 8 to 5 ish type of scenario. In whatever degree that's going to look like, I'm not completely sure yet. But my ability to make videos at that particular time is going to change because I have a job schedule now. So it's going to happen Monday in the evenings at some point. Not quite sure yet when. But I'm going to come on and I'm going to do a mic drop, and I'm going to do my best to put into a 3-minute time frame what it is that, if I was allowed at the school board meetings, what I would say. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because, one, Middlebury Entitlement Schools needs to continually be reminded of the questions and the failings that they have just completely disregarded and hoping that you forget. Someone needs to keep reminding them, hey, you're not doing your job by ignoring people's concerns. And in fact, that's you failing at it. So that's one. Two, my presence at Middlebury Community Schools isn't welcome. However, my presence at Middlebury Community is significantly welcome. I've got tons of people inviting me out now to share stories or stay with them and talk about it or advocate and do the rest, and I'm all for it. Like, I'm completely for it. But what I would like to have happen a little bit more in reality going into next school year is they're going to have their school board meetings at 4 o'clock on Tuesdays forever, which is 3 o'clock my time. If I have a job, there's no way I'm going to be able to make it out to a school board meeting on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Here's something that you don't know. Middlebury Community Schools knows that type of information for almost everybody in the district, which is why they moved their school board meetings to 4 to 5, because they know nearly all of the parents that could actually say something during that time are working or have to be at home to get their children, so they can't be there at the school board meeting to talk. So I have a few questions, and as we come upon the 8-minute mark, when it starts at 8 minutes, I'm going to go into 3 minutes of what it was that I would say to the school board meeting if I were there. And then after I have kind of said what I would like to say, I'll tell you a little bit more about what's possible that you can do with it. Okay? All right. Fellow school board, thank you again for allowing me to come up here. The last time I showed up, I shared a concern with you about a suicidal employee that actually committed suicide, and I shared the concern that his individual situation may not be as individual, and just asked if you would take it more seriously than you did. And that's all that really came out in that April, and I have yet to hear any type of mature response. I've got a lot of immature responses from you, like assigning a trespass and doing so in the most shady way, canceling the live stream of the video of graduation, yada yada, all this stuff from the previous mic drops. Why are you not answering these questions? And what gives you the right to say that it's inappropriate to discuss this issue when there are community members that show up specifically to talk about an issue that you're uncomfortable with? And that could be anywhere from, you've seen the people that have shown up and asked. Here are the questions that you have yet to answer. Pam Kaiser has asked you 5 that you still have yet to answer. And I'll let her speak for herself because she does a great job doing that, but that's just my perception. When it comes to the things that you're continuing to ignore, what are the mental health practices that you have in place for your employees that want to kill themselves? Question mark. Because the last time that you said something, you're like, well, our hearts are really aggrieved by this whole thing, and we have a wealth of mental health services that could have been available to John if he had taken advantage of them. I used all of them, and I still felt suicidal. So my question is for you is, what have you done different? What are you going to choose to do different this year? And I want specifics. I don't want ideas. I don't want, we're going to come to the table and we're going to talk about this. No. I want practicality. How are you holding those people accountable? How are you holding yourself accountable? Why do you continue to refuse to answer the questions that Pam has asked for like the last 2 years? And for me, it was only for like the last 3 months. What gives you the right to continue to sit up there and do nothing while your staff members are killing themselves in your parking lot and you think it's inappropriate to talk about that for some reason? I just don't get it. So in the last 30 seconds, here's the questions that I would ask you. Why is Malahan still have a trespass on him? What purpose does it serve? What legality did you have to do it to begin with? And where the heck do you get off doing that unilaterally without any form of, I don't know, cognition? It's hard as you get to the last few minutes because you want to make sure you want to say everything. But for me, it comes down to this. And I know the 3 minutes have kind of come up. For me, the whole purpose of being able to go and speak to the school board for 3 minutes is this. Here are the questions that the community continues to ask you that you continue to ignore. If by the next school board meeting we don't have answers to these questions, we'll invite Malahan back with his megaphone to ask those questions directly at you during the school board meetings, since you continue to avoid them. And I will say this, there were polite people that left the school board meeting after I did the megaphone, and they drove and they waved and they were supportive, or at least human. And then there was the rest, which unfortunately was closer to half, that decided to turn the other direction and leave the school out of the back way instead of the front way, because I was apparently along the lines of the front way. You know, I know you guys are a school board, but why do you have to act so school child-like? Like, oh, I don't like what he has to say, so I don't want to go near him, so I'm going to go away. I'm going to go over here. Like, are you adults or not? You're being asked by another adult to be accountable and answer questions, and you're not doing it. You're running, you're hiding, and you're fighting amongst yourselves. Like, what type of leadership are you trying to portray that people are going to actually believe at this point? Now, I know that you know, most of your cookie cutter Middlebury type of situations aren't really going to be ruffled by all this. They're not going to change. Again, the reason I've gone on to do this is not for 85% of what Middlebury Community Schools actually does. It's the fact that they continue to disregard the people that really need the most help, like John Homan, like Mike Malahan, like list any of the other people that have come forward with concerns that you refuse to answer questions to. And that's not right. And this is the first meeting of the next school year. So the questions I have are very specific. What's going to be different? And be very specific. I don't want ideas. I don't want, you know, we've had a chance to talk about this amongst ourselves, and we really feel going into the next school year that we're not going to have as many challenges because blah, 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 blah. People of Middlebury, and anybody else who seems to be listening to this right now, if you are not wise to how their BS sounds, go back and watch any of my other videos about the mess. Because I will detail it out what their manipulations look like and what their gaslighting looks like and how they try to make you live in fear. I would ask them too, why do you still keep it from 4 to 5? Like, because no one has said anything up to this point and that's what you like? Well, people are saying something now. Why aren't you having this conversation? Why do you choose a time and a place that is so inhospitable and untimely that the people in your community can't show up to share their voice? And when they do, you continue to still make them walk the walk of shame to the front in front of everybody's judgmental eyes. You preach about these safe environments for our children and the safe classrooms and the safe places and the safe and the safe and the safe, and you're not safe. None of you feel safe. Your own school board members don't feel safe sharing their concerns about a school board member idea. If you guys cannot be safe amongst each other and you're the leadership of Middlebury Community Schools, why in the hell would any family believe that their child is safe there? Why in the hell would anyone send their student to your school with a suicidal man who killed themselves in a parking lot, and the response that you had from that was horrid, negligible, it was immature, it was unprofessional, it was disregarding. It's terrible. And when someone shows up to share genuine concern about that, to you out of their kindness of their own heart, painting a huge ass target on their back in doing so, why would you excommunicate that person who's literally showing up out of overwhelming fear for the love of the kids? Why? Why? And actually answer the question why. Don't say, thank you for your concerns. Next up, we have blah, 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 blah. No, answer the questions. And you know what? Here's the thing. Y'all don't realize how powerful you actually are. Everything that they have set up in that school board meeting is meant to feel like it's either their way or the highway. Like, you can't go in and share what it is that you feel without any type of repercussion or something that's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, I've probably been the loudest person sharing my truth, and they haven't been able to touch me. They've been able to make themselves look bad by preventing me or trying to prevent me from cheering for my children, but that didn't work. That failed. All of this is going on, and no one and you're not answering anybody's questions on why or what you're going to do different. So this is what I'll put out there. Since you don't want to seem to answer these questions directly, I will go ahead and put this out as a PSA to future families that want to go to Middlebury entitlement schools. Okay? From me to you. If you are Middlebury mentality and you fit their mold and you do everything that they want you to do and look and appear however they want you to appear, you are going to be loved and supported and lauded like you are the best thing since sliced bread at Middlebury entitlement schools. But God forbid you have an individual idea of your own, or anything at all that may be a little bit unique or different than the way that they want things, and watch what happens. Because from the stories that I've heard of staff members, both dead and alive, former graduates, just recent graduates, current students that are there, current staff members that are there, and a butt ton of parents have all shared stories of how their child has been bullied by teachers, by other kids, and nothing's been done about it, while children have witnessed other adults being bullied in the buildings by other adults. There were kids in the middle school that have shared their testimony now about how they witnessed Mr. Homan being berated. And again, they're minors, so we're not going to share any names. That's illegal to do so, but these are the stories that continue to happen. So I would propose this to any families that are thinking of going to Middlebury Community Schools. Is your child safe there? And I'm not talking about safe from like a school shooting or something along that line. I mean, are they safe to be an individual? Are they safe to be themselves? Whatever that is, as they're growing up and discovering who they are and their identity, are they safe at Middlebury Community Schools? And I'm going to tell you right now, from my experience, I will say this: not everyone. And most of those students that didn't fit that mold, they didn't have counselors that wanted to serve them like everybody else. They, like they were taught from Middlebury entitlement, chose to continue to disregard those that were a little bit too troublesome or a little bit beyond what they wanted to do or felt was appropriate as a school counselor. For me, all I did was open the door and say, you want to talk? I'll listen. And I'll help. If you want me to advocate for you in this, let's go. That's my job. I'm a school counselor. My job is to advocate for children and their voice when they don't have a voice of their own, to parents, to teachers, to other kids, to administrators, to anything. My job is to help them feel safe to share what's on their heart. And Middlebury Community Schools has made it impossible for me to feel safe sharing my heart, and all I did was show up out of concern for what happened to a member that killed themselves in a parking lot. So ask yourself that, parents. And those are the parents that may be thinking of bringing their kids to Middlebury Community Schools. To the families that are already at Middlebury Community Schools, I have a different message. Whether you want to be or not, you are the only solution to this problem. The school board is going to continue to operate unhinged and unfettered because no one is challenging them because everybody is afraid to. They're afraid of what's going to happen. Oh, if we speak up at a school board member meeting, then our kid is going to be marked for the rest of their time at Middlebury Community Schools as being a dissenter, which sets them up for bullying from teachers in the middle school and the high school, I'm going to ask you to think a little bit more about, one, is your child actually still safe at Middlebury Community Schools? And two, what's going to happen to them when they decide that they are different than the Middlebury cookie cutter model and are actually an individual that has their own thoughts, feelings, and wants to share them? In my experience, it doesn't feel like that's the safest place. In fact, based on the evidence at hand and the current status that happened at the end of last year, I don't really think it's safe for the people that even work there. So if it's not safe for the people that work there as teachers, and it's not safe for kids that don't fit their mold, who is it really safe for? That's right, anybody that they can craft into their own image. In fact, I believe the mission of the schools is to inspire students to shape the world. Translation: we are going to inspire, we are going to control and tell your students exactly what it is to inspire them into a shape that we want to go out and keep the world the way that it is, so that our power doesn't have to change. Now, they left all those extra words in their mission statement because, again, they don't want you to see what's going on behind the curtains. So, if you feel that's what I'm saying out to the current members, parents and families that are already there. If you feel like you want to be part of this change and holding them accountable, then I'll make it as easy as I possibly can for you, from what I'm able to do. Okay. I'll try to provide 3 minutes every single Monday before a school board meeting that you can go and you can fill out one of those yellow sheets and you can sit there. And when it comes time to call your name, you don't have to say anything. You have 3 minutes to speak on what it is that you do. Pull up your phone. Come to the mic drop to the 3 minute mark or the 5 minute mark or the 8 minute mark, wherever it is that I've got that 3 minutes of questions that I would like to ask, and click play. And then just sit down. Or stand up there for the entire 3 minutes, and then when it's done, click pause, and then go sit down. Because you don't necessarily have to share what's going on in your life and your personal stuff to stand up for something. You don't have to. You can if you want to, and you are 100% supported, loved, and not judged by me in sharing that truth, and I will come right alongside you with a megaphone and share it loudly. But until Middlebury Community Schools school board members hears enough people actually saying this to them directly in their little house of solitude, they're not going to do anything about it because they think that they don't have to, and they're protected. Families of Middlebury, you're the only ones that actually have the power to change that. I would ask, and I don't really ask much for myself, but I'll ask this one as a personal favor to me if you want to. Whether you believe you're part of the solution or part of the problem, doesn't matter. If you've been the corrupt part of Middlebury up to this point and you've had a crisis of conscience, you're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I actually have to stand up and say something. Do it. And if you need someone to stand next to you, I'll be there every day that I can. But if I can't be, find each other. Find each other and talk about, like, hey, are you going to go to the school board meeting? I don't want to go. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to my kid if I ever say anything. That's fine. If 1,000 parents showed up to do that at some point and clicked play on a video, the Middlebury Community School Board wouldn't have a choice but to take a look at all that, because now you would be in the majority. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of people getting knowledge and wind of this and forming some kind of local movement against them, because that's what they've done. They've built their fortress. They've filled their schools with all the people that they want. They've given positions to all the people that they want. They've scratched backs and had their backs scratched. Lord knows what Joel at the Essen House has provided for them in different ways to get the right people at the right place and the wrong people out feeling terrible about themselves. And that's out of the mouth of one former graduate. I'm just really sick of them being able to get away with not saying anything because it's just showing how childish they actually are. Last time you had a conversation with someone that was in trouble and they turned their back and folded their arms and didn't want to speak with you, you put them in timeout because that was a child thing to do. A grown adult will actually invite a conversation with you during the school board meeting, because it's not meant to be a timed thing where you're in and out, you only get 3 minutes. That's not how it's supposed to be. The school board meeting can go from 4 o'clock all the way through 10 p.m. if enough people show up to speak and say something at that school board. Legally, they have to. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. If I'm right, go ahead and continue to pout in the corner with your arms folded and not say a word. Right. In conclusion, the purpose of this one was just so that, and the future will be a little bit different, but the purpose of this one is just so that you guys have something. And I think it was about the 8-minute mark, up until maybe about the last few 15 seconds of the 10-minute mark. There's a chunk of information in there that I would want the school board member to answer to. And if you feel so moved to show up and do that, then do it. And if you don't, that's completely fine too. I'm not asking you to do anything you're not comfortable with doing. What I am asking you to do is stand up for something, because people are having a hard time standing up for themselves. And the ones that try to do and either end up killing themselves in a parking lot or banned from showing up to graduation, or God knows what else they've done to everybody else over the last 20 years. I mean, some of the stories I'm getting from former employees are even worse than the ones that I've faced. And no one wants you to know about it. So I'll promise you this right now. If Middlebury Community Schools wants to have a town hall meeting and have me show up and share those concerns in a forum where it's safe, where it's equitable, and we can share ideas like adults, instead of you guys feeling you're so powerful and don't have to do anything, why don't you come down to the level of the people that you say that you serve? I'll show up. I'll call off work. I'll call my boss and be like, excuse me, I'm going to have to take a personal day. I'll be back. Oh, well, what's going on? Well, there's a situation going on at a place that has my heart, and a lot of students and families there that I've got to go take a stand for, to advocate for them and their safety in schools. Do you know what my boss is going to say? Bruh, nice. Because thankfully I found a place where advocating for students is not a crime. And advocating for students who are not cookie cutter is accepted, lauded, appreciated, and not meant to make someone feel like they're different or wrong. I would enjoy that. And I bet they're scared to death of that actually happening. So it's why it'll probably never happen. But, again, I'll keep inviting people out there to talk. But after the last few meetings showing up and just people just acting like children, I have no desire to show up to you guys anymore, because you're beneath me. You're not even as mature as I am at this point, and it's really sad because you're the leadership of an entire school district. And I'm sorry for those kids, and I'm sorry for those families, and I'm even more sorry for the staff that have to work under you, because I would want to work for a kindergartner that gets upset when you get your blue crayon taken away and they've got a pink crayon that you like instead. That's terrible. I know we're a school, but at what point have we grown beyond kindergarten? Anyway, I digress, because I like to. But anyway, this one is more for you guys to do with whatever you want with. Great news on the forefront of what's coming. As I continue to do these, when I move into the new schedule of what's going to be work, I'm going to be able to have regimented times where it's like, hey, here's my schedule for mic drops this week. I'll be on here, here, and here. I kind of want to get in the mode of that school to begin with, to kind of see what it's like, just so I can understand my own schedule. Most of you guys know that I pour everything I have into kids whenever I'm working for them and with them, so I always try to be cognizant of the schedule to make sure everybody has the equal opportunity to the mall hunt that they would like, 100%. So I'm working on that schedule now. It is looking good, but I'm trying to get into the forum of seeing what that's like. So you'll probably hear from me again, if not in 2 weeks before the next school board meeting, then beforehand with a little bit more about what's going to go on in the future. Okay. So as for me right now, I'm groovy. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the next school year. I would be significantly happier if Middlebury entitlement schools decided to be accountable for their actions. But again, that's something I'll continue to fight for. But I love you guys, and I want you to feel empowered to go and share your truth no matter what. And if you need help doing that, you know where I'm at. And a lot of you guys have no problem reaching out to me, and I love it. I've loved all the stories. I've loved being able to share with you, cry with you, laugh with you. It's been, as much as you guys have been sharing your testimonies with me to help be advocated for, it's been ministering to my heart as well. It's been helping me to feel a little bit less apocalyptic about what happened to me, and that's a treasure I cannot put a value on. So I love you guys. I really do. Thank you so much. This is Mike from the Mic Drop, and we out.